Hello, everyone. Hope everyone is doing okay this Tuesday evening. Thank you guys for joining us. We're talking about more troops, more tension. Everybody knows what's going on in Iran, the war. We are at war against, alongside Israel, against Iran. So we want to talk about this evening what's really going on.
That's the real question, Doc B.
Yeah, because this is something that where there are some conflicting signals, some things that are going on.
They are very fair. They're
very
thorough.
Trying to figure out what some of these vices
Making
is.
sure you're happy and healthy.
They are honest. They do it.
So again, we're talking about more troops, more tension, what's really going on with the war in Iran. And we're going to talk about this topic because there are some conflicting signals. There's a lot of global pressure that's going on, guys, and what it means for what it means for what it means. And we want to break that down this evening. We're talking about it, about what's going on and what it means to you. And we're going to have a real conversation about what people are noticing, how people are feeling and what people are trying to understand, Broker J3, is how the war, what it means, how it's affecting them. And there's talk right now about more troops. It came out, well, actually, they mentioned it last week, but they mentioned it again today. So there's a lot of global tension that's mounting. There's shifts in the market. We talked about this last week about those of you who may have the 401 or 457 plans, how they're plummeting, and changes in everyday expenses. Some of you have probably had to revamp some things because you're trying to cut here or cut there so that you can manage your expenses. So, we don't have everything that's going to connect the dots for you, but we all just want to break it down and just discuss it. And when people don't have clarity, just like you don't even really know why we are at war, people start to ask deeper questions. I know I've been asking a lot of questions. So tonight, we're not here to create fear. We're here to bring understanding. That's what we want to do. So drop your city and your state. We want you to share this live and let's talk about what's really going on, guys.
All right, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy, your uncle. You know that guy, Broker J3.
Okay, guys, I am your girl, your favorite auntie, Dr. B.
All right, guys. So, know what we're going to do today? Let's talk about it.
Yes.
All right. So, as Doc B said earlier, guys, we're just getting started. So, go ahead and drop your city and state in the chat. We want to know where you guys are tuning in from. We really appreciate that. We like to know.
Okay, don't forget to tap that screen. We said it one time, like, share, and subscribe. And we'll be shouting out our top supporters throughout the show. We like to do that from time to time because we want to shout out to those who are joining us. So far, Faith, I love the little butterflies. Thank you for joining us. And Ricky, Mary C. Smith, thank you for hanging out with us this evening.
Yeah, we got Jeg, Stand on Business.
All right, welcome back, Stand on Business. Yeah.
The admin, J7, James
Welcome
Greer,
back.
Ricky. Yeah, we appreciate you guys for joining us. Thank you. King Kareem.
Yeah.
Good brother. Thank you for chiming in. Let us know where you guys are hailing from. We definitely like to know, guys.
Okay.
Let us know.
Okay, guys. So what are people seeing right now? Not just seeing, but what are people hearing right now? When you really pause and think about the war, or just not just a war, because that's a domino effect that's happening here in the United States. And people are having the everyday conversation. Something feels different. It just feels off because for me, Broker J3, is just not knowing. People aren't just casually watching the news anymore. They're noticing there's some patterns, they're connecting the dots, and they're asking more questions than usual because they haven't been told anything. It's like there's a shift in awareness, even if people can't fully explain what they're sensing.
I totally agree with you, Doc B. And what stands out to me is that it's not tied to any specific event. It's like an accumulation of things happening all at the same time. You got the troop movement being mentioned. You got prices shifting, with gas prices. You got the markets reacting. And people are picking up on all of this collectively. And that creates a sense of something bigger might be developing.
Yeah, because in the back of your mind, you're saying to yourself, okay, it's this now. What about next? So when people feel like something is just building, it's building on it, they don't have a clear explanation of what's going on. So they naturally start to fill in the gaps. You start to say, well, hey, darn, what's happening? Am I going to be next? That's where confusion starts to grow because they're working with incomplete information. One of the ones is, why are we at war? If somebody can answer that question for me, put it in the chat, okay? It's not that people are overreacting. It's that they're trying to make sense of what they see and what they hear. They're trying to put or connect the dots.
Yeah, and social media accelerates that process, guys. You're getting quick clips, strong opinions, and partial updates all day long, but rarely we're getting the full picture. So people are forming their own conclusions faster than they're getting complete information.
Yeah. They're trying to figure out what's going on and trying to make it make sense. Okay. And that creates a situation where perception starts to feel like reality. Even if everything isn't fully understood, people feel like something is shifting. What's going on? And that feeling matters. It's like a little hole in your stomach. You're trying to figure out what in the world is going on.
So the real question becomes, are these just separate situations happening at once, or are they connected signals for something bigger that hasn't fully been explained yet?
Okay, guys. So I'm going to give you guys a scenario, and hopefully this will help you to understand how you're feeling. So say, for instance, there's a working parent in Georgia that fills up his or her gas tank and notices that it costs $10 to $15 more than last week. And this is true. That same evening, they scroll and they're seeing the headlines mentioning the troops being deployed overseas. The next morning at work, you got coworkers are talking about the stock market that took a dip, a plunge. And now there are rumors of layoffs in other industries. By lunchtime, they're no longer just observing, they're thinking to themselves, is this about to affect my job, my bills, my family stability? Okay, guys.
So yeah, that's absolutely amazing because a lot of people are feeling like that, Dr.
Okay, so what are you noticing right now? Are things feeling steady to you, or do you notice a shift?
All right. Well, we have one comment. Someone says gas, grocery, or job security. What's changing most for them? So, wow.
Okay, so okay, guys, does this feel normal to you, or does something feel a little bit off? What do you feel? Okay, Black Boy Jones, Jason Schuler, Monk Panda. We got Shanika, Melvin 845. So guys, what do you feel? How are you feeling about this shift, guys? Does this feel normal to you, or does something feel off?
Let us know, guys, what you guys think about that. So where are you seeing these biggest impacts, guys? Are you seeing them at home or at work? Because, we have a lot of people talking about their prices, their bills are going up, and we already know that the job market is really unstable right now.
Yeah, and a lot of people are seeing, you mentioned bills going up. A lot of people mentioned last week that they saw an increase in their gas bill. So shout out to those of you who are joining us. We've got Loria 606, New York. Let us know where you're from, guys. Drop your city and state, tap that screen, share this live. And shout out to our top supporters. Make sure you follow them.
All right. Welcome, FDR APV. Thank you so much for joining us. Right now, he's our top supporter. So thank you so much. We really appreciate you coming in and joining the chat today. All right, guys. So let's jump into this. Right now, let's talk about the troops and the tension and what it really all means, guys. Okay. 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 That's King Sedell, FDR APV. Appreciate the love, King. Thanks so much. All right. When people hear about more troops being mentioned, it immediately gets their attention. No, not necessarily because they understand every detail of what's going on, but because they know that troop movement is signaling that it's something important about to happen. It shifts the conversation from casual awareness to something more serious.
Yeah. So when I hear that troops on the ground, that just affects me because I know that someone's going to get hurt. Somebody left and may not make it home. So Broker J3, that's exactly right. What you said is something more serious, and it don't have direct connections for some of you. People understand that these are real people. These are someone's children's, real families, real lives involved. That's awareness that brings a different level of seriousness to the conversation. As I mentioned earlier, some people are going to leave, and a lot of people have said, if you watch some of the streaming networks, that it's a death trap because Iran is known for having more troops than any of the other countries in that Asia area. So you're wondering to yourself, are we sending our young men over there to die?
And that's why people are asking more questions right now. They're not trying to speculate. They're trying to understand what this really means and what happens next. Because as we hear our president telling us that, we pretty much almost won, but yet at the same time, we're seeing thousands of troops being deployed over there. And that's one thing that's really making people wondering what's really happening.
Because you don't know. At 1 minute, he said they was only going to be over there a short period of time, and then changed and said that they surrendered. We're winning. I mean, I've heard so many stories. I don't know which one is true. Okay, guys. So we acknowledge what's happening without jumping to conclusions. We need to stay informed, and we also need to stay grounded. So even though we're getting these different stories, these conflicting stories, we still need to stay abreast of what's going on.
Hey guys, let me show you a quick clip came out today in regards to the troop deployment. Now, some of you guys on a couple of our platforms will not be able to see this short clip, but you'll probably be able to hear it. But everybody else that's connected should be able to see the clip.
Okay, guys, thank you for those gifts. We're going to keep them coming. And also thank you for your likes.
And CBS News has confirmed that hundreds of U.S. Special Forces are now in the Middle East.
It comes as President Trump weighs next steps in Iran. CBS News Miami's Natalie Brand is at the White House with what that could look like.
U.S. Central Command shared images of sailors and Marines aboard the USS Tripoli arriving in the Middle East over the weekend, part of a buildup of U.S. forces.
It's the job of the Pentagon to create maximum optionality for the commander-in-chief. It does not mean the president has made any additional decisions.
White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt says the president is weighing all options but prefers diplomacy.
Their best move is to make a deal, or else the United States Armed Forces has capabilities beyond their wildest imagination, and the president is not afraid to use them.
Fire erupted at this Israeli oil refinery Monday as the fighting continues, while President Trump insists the U.S. is making progress with discussions.
It's a new group of people that we've never dealt with before, that are acting very reasonable. It is truly regime change.
But he warned if a deal is not reached, the U.S. will obliterate all of Iran's electric generating plants, oil wells, and Karg Island, the key hub for the country's oil exports.
Sources tell CBS News the deployment of special forces gives President Trump options, including taking oil from Karg Island or seizing Iran's stockpile of enriched uranium.
But on Capitol Hill, Democrats and a growing number of Republicans say they're opposed to a ground operation.
The last thing we want to do is put troops on the ground. It's something I do not support.
Newly released images appear to show damage to a U.S. radar aircraft during Friday's strike on an airbase in Saudi Arabia, which also wounded a dozen U.S. troops. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
So, guys, that just shows you right there that we're not getting all of the information. They're not talking about these planes that's being hit at military bases, troops being hurt. We should be getting that information firsthand. So can you guys imagine sending thousands of more troops over there? It's definitely not going to be a good look.
No, it's not.
Let me give you this scenario right here. You have a mother that has a son in the military. Over the past few days, she notices more frequent mentions of troop movements and deployments. She starts checking her phone more often, paying closer attention to the updates. Right now, she's not panicking, but every headline feels closer to home. When she hears more troops, she doesn't think policy. She thinks, is my child safe?
That's exactly right. And not only that, guys, guess what? So Iran has decided to, if they don't get what they want, they're going to start bombing the American companies that are in Asia. So, it's going to get worse before it gets better. And I'm just concerned. There's a lot of anxiety because I'm thinking about what's going to happen. And right now, you don't know whether anyone that's going to be safe, because you still got some people that are still in that area that have not even returned home yet.
Okay, guys, do you guys know someone that's in the military?
Mm-hmm.
And how does this situation make you feel? Mm-hmm. Let us know. Drop it in the chat. I know my son was in the Navy for about 8 years, and I'm just thankful that he was able to get out of that before that got real messy.
Okay, guys. So if you have a loved one serving, drop her a little praying emoji, and we're going to cover them tonight. And how do you stay calm, guys, if you have a loved one serving without full answers, without knowing what's going on?
That's right. Because, the question is this concern a real concern, or is it something deeper? And right now, guys, it really feels like it's something more deeper than what's being portrayed right now, because you have military families that's out there that's truly trying to process all of this.
Yeah, all right, Gus, we agree with you. It's getting crazy, and it's going to get worse. It's not going to get anything better. And let's think about it. When they first had the war, you were thinking that they were going to be over there and be back, do what they had to do, and it would be over in 2 weeks. But no, guys, I think how many days are we at now? 100?
Yeah, well, no, we're in our second month, I believe, since February, the end of February, when they started this foolishness.
Okay, guys.
All right, guys. So big shout outs to everybody that's tapping those screens, sending those gifts, and sharing the live, guys. Share this live, guys. And remember, guys, make sure you follow our top gifters. We got FDR APV right now. Mr. Sadell, King Sadell, he's going off right now. Yeah. He's showing out right now. So make sure you guys follow him. He has great content. And we'd love to see some of you other top gifters up there joining APV right now. So make sure you guys send those gifts. It really helps to continue this podcast, guys.
All right, 20. We've got Todd 1. Thank you for joining us.
Ashika Singh,
yes.
Angie Stone. Oh wow, you got the same name. That's a blessing, young lady. Fendi, Deb, Saja,
Gerald Sprout. Thank you guys for joining us, and thank you for hanging out with us this evening.
Yeah, we really appreciate you guys. You could have been anywhere, but you decided to join the J&B Live Podcast this evening. So we thank you. Dr. B, let's get into the economic impact of things that's going on right now.
So what we're going to talk about now is how we're being impacted here in the United States. And so we're just bringing the conversation home because people may not follow global events closely. And that may be some people, guys, that don't even know we're at war. And maybe some people don't know we're at war, but they definitely feel the economic impact, changes in prices, spending habits, financial decisions. All of that can impact people. And so this is why we're going to bring it home, because that's where awareness turns into action.
Exactly. But that's it's not about the headlines, guys. It's about what it costs to live. When the gas goes up, the groceries goes up, and everyday expenses increase. People feel that immediately. It doesn't take an expert to recognize that something is affecting the economy.
It surely doesn't. And when those changes happen, people start adjusting. We don't have any choice but to adjust. You have to start cutting back. You have to prioritize differently. And then you become more cautious with your decisions. Should I do this? Should I do that? That's a natural response, guys, to uncertainty.
And the businesses, they feel it too.
Yeah.
When customers start spending less, business owners have to make tough decisions just to stay stable. That's where the ripple effect, it really becomes visible.
And that's what we're seeing now, guys. It's not panic at this point. It's just being aware. It's awareness. People are paying close attention to their finances and making adjustments when necessary.
And that awareness, it can actually be a strength, because it allows people to make smart decisions smarter instead of reacting emotionally, because we've been seeing a lot of emotional reactions in recent times. That's them people that go to the store and binge buy products because they think it's going to keep going up higher and stuff like that.
Yeah. I remember when COVID hit, people were out binging paper products and stuff like that. So now a lot of people are concerned because they don't know what may happen. Okay, so let's take this. I'm going to have another scenario for you guys. So let's take a small business owner that notices that their supply cost has increased over the weeks. Customers are not spending like they used to in the store, and the foot traffic has slowed down. They're trying to decide now whether to raise their prices of their products or risk losing customers, or just absorb the cost themselves and reduce their own profit. But at the same time, they're hearing about the market instability and the global tension abroad. Now they're just running a business. They're managing uncertainty because they don't know what to do. Okay, guys. So have you adjusted your spending recently?
Yeah. And what have you cut back on recently?
Okay. I've cut back on my travel.
So, me too.
So I try to, when I leave to go somewhere, I try to tackle at least 4 or 5 different projects at the same time, instead of going and doing one and then coming back home the next day, do another. I try to do everything while I'm out. Okay, so guys, what have you cut back on recently? Is your money stretching the same or less?
Mine is stretching a little less. It's not substantial, but it's definitely a little less. And what about you business owners out there? Are you guys feeling the pressure? I know me and Doc B, our business is feeling a little pressure right now as well. So I'm quite sure some of you business owners definitely must be feeling it. If you are, let us know.
Okay, guys. So what costs more now than it did last month, other than gas, other than groceries, light bills? Is there anything else? Am I missing anything, guys? What costs more now than last month? Drop it in the chat for me. Okay, guys. So shout out to those of you who are listening. We have 928 Sweetie Pie. Suhan says he sent he or she sent a glow stick. Thank you for your gifts. We appreciate it. We got Sacred Oasis 55, and we got a lot of you that are in the chat. So keep those comments coming. We appreciate you guys.
Yeah, we appreciate you guys sending those gifts. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it, guys. Congrats to Kua, one of our lottery winners. Thank you so much for joining J&B Live. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Big shout out to APV. FDR, King Sedell. Make sure you guys follow our top gifters. You know how we do. We enjoy trying to help our top gifters grow their following as well. So make sure you guys follow our top gifters. So if you see the guys that's at the top, those are our top gifters. So make sure you guys follow them. And as you already know, J&B Live Podcast, we follow everybody that follows us. Okay. All right. So we're going to get into these mixed messages because that's what we're seeing right now on the news and, from the administration. A lot of these messages are just not matching up, including some of the news messages from the Iranian government.
Yeah.
This might be one of the biggest challenges that we're having right now, mixed messaging. People are hearing different things from different sources. And it is hard to really know what to truly focus on, that really creates a sense of uncertainty that people can really feel right now.
Yeah. And so when the information doesn't align, because, you'll have Pete Hegseth or Trump saying, we're winning, we've done this, we done took them down. And then you'll see someone from the Iranian government that said, hey, no, this is not over. We're not bowing down. So it's not aligning. People begin to question everything they're hearing. It's not just about what's being said. It's about whether it makes sense when you compare it to what you're seeing. And exactly, because what's happening is the troops are still over there, or they're sending more troops. So it's not coming to an end anytime soon. That disconnect creates confusion. And that's why some of us are feeling the way that we do.
Yeah, because you hear one update suggesting progress. You hear another update suggesting continued tension. And with those messages, they just don't match up, guys.
Yeah.
People start wondering what's really accurate. And we're not going to get into the administration because we already know, I can outright just say the lies that come out the administration, but we're not gonna be heavy on the administration because people have a lot of concerns about the growing tension and what's happening with our troops being prepared to go across seas.
Okay, guys. So the confusion that's taking place can lead to emotional responses instead of informed decisions. So you do want to know, even though we're getting the conflicting stories, guys, you still have to stay abreast of what's happening. But when people don't have clarity, they tend to react instead of respond. So make sure you're cautious. You want to respond and not just react.
And that's why conversations like this that we're having tonight really matter, because it gives the people a chance to slow down and think instead of reacting to every headline, because we know every headline or every source of information that you get may not be correct.
Okay, and the clarity is not going to come from the noise, guys. It's going to come from understanding. And understanding comes from actually listening to what's happening and responding and not reacting.
So let me give you guys another scenario. You have a viewer that's watching multiple news sources throughout the day. One says things are improving. Another says that the tensions are rising. Social media adds even more conflicting perspectives. By the end of the day, they're not more informed than anything. In fact, they're more overwhelmed and unsure who to really trust. So, do you guys feel like you're getting clear information right now? If so, put it in the chat and let us know.
Okay, guys, we need those comments because they do affect the algorithms. I want you to type clear or confused in the comments. Which way? How do you feel?
Well, me personally, I will put confused because it's really hard to really determine what's going on right now. The way some of these things are happening right now in the social media, I just feel confused because you don't know who to trust anymore with what you're hearing.
And then you hear so many lies.
You got too many voices, not enough clarity.
Yeah. So where do you get your information from? A lot of people are not watching the legacy media outlets anymore. They're doing the streaming networks because legacy media has so many, has a lot of people feet on their necks that they're not giving us the truth of what's really happening. Just for example, it took a minute for them to tell us how many people had actually been killed in the war so far. They stuck to 16, come to find out it was about 150.
Yeah. And if you guys are unsure, legacy media is CNN, Fox News, CBS, all of those. Those are legacy media companies that have been out for many years. Right now you can get more clarity through some of the independent news people that's coming to you, like the Don Lemons, the Joy Reid, the Midas Touch Network, to get that in Joe Coachella. You can get this true information as opposed to that thrown out information that the legacy media is giving everybody.
All right, Mr. Soul Snatcher. We appreciate you joining us. We also have
Sylph sent 100 likes. Appreciate it.
Appreciate you.
Thank you so much for the love.
Yes.
Shout out to everybody again that's tapping on that screen. We really appreciate it. Guys, let these hearts go up.
Yes.
And are you guys following our top gifters? We mention it all the time. Make sure you guys are following our top gifters. That's how J&B Live Podcast rolls. So if you want our community to follow you, make sure you get up there to be one of our top gifters, and our community will follow you as well. But let's jump back into this, Doc B. We talked about the tension. We talked about the misinformation. You don't know who to trust. Now let's get into that global impact and how it's affecting not just the United States, but the world.
Other countries as well. So what's happening right now is not just isolated, because just think about it, we're dealing with oil. So it's affecting a lot of countries as well. That's why a lot of countries really want peace because we're all connected globally. And that's what people are beginning to understand more clearly. That's why, Trump has called for the other countries to aid him. But some of the countries, most of them, the majority of them, do not want to get involved. Events happening in one part of the world can have ripple effects everywhere, all over the world.
Yeah, and before I continue, Doc B, I'm gonna play this other clip, this other clip that we have to kind of give you guys an idea of what the global effect really means. And again, some of you guys, like on our Beagle Live feed, may not be able to see the clip, but you can hear it. But Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and so forth, you guys should have no problem. Spotify and all those shouldn't have any issues at all seeing it. So let's go ahead and show you guys this clip.
Trump has repeated his threats this morning to destroy Iran's oil infrastructure as well as its power generation plants. Again, he said there are talks taking place. He said these talks are making great progress. They're going very well. He added this morning that the U.S. is now talking to what he called a, quote, new and more reasonable regime. Those are his words. Do you know anything about these talks? Can we attach any credibility to what the U.S. president is saying, or is this just about the markets and where they're going?
The fact that he threatens to carry out crimes against humanity, and the Western media is not shocked, or no one is outraged by this. It just shows that the entire political class of the United States and the collective West is just utterly corrupt. And this is the Epstein class and their lack of values that have led to this situation. The media doesn't pick up on this. No, there are no negotiations taking place, and the Iranians have been very clear that the facts on the ground have to change, and if the United States starts targeting Iran's critical infrastructure, no doubt, without any doubt, Iran will destroy the critical infrastructure that is literally controlled by the West, and of course its proxies in the Persian Gulf are partners in the war against Iran. So it will destroy that critical infrastructure, and that will lead to a global economic depression.
A global impact
far greater than 1929.
Now, there are already more forces, United States forces in the region. We've seen these thousands of troops moving into the area. And this all comes amid threats of a land invasion. In fact, the United States says that its goals now, and its goals keep changing, but its goals now is to seize Iran's uranium stockpile, as well as seize Kharg Island, which is the oil terminal, the oil port that Iran uses to export its oil. With these troops in the region right now, how do you see this playing out?
They will fail. Of course, when they launch their ground invasion, which will probably come soon, you will see the collective Western media, even opponents of Trump, talk about the great successes and how they're making progress and how they're taking this land and that land and how the Iran. And for a couple of days, a lot of people will believe it. And then just like at the beginning of this war of aggression, we saw the same narrative. But then after a few days, it became clear that that wasn't the case and they're not winning. Ultimately.
So guys, so
you heard it.
That shows about those fake narratives, and also is getting into what we're talking about now, which is the global impact. This war is affecting the world, not just America or Iran. It's affecting the world. So we see those ripple effects showing up in ways people don't always expect. It can affect pricing, availability, travel, and even job markets over time. That's why awareness matters.
And when it comes to travel, we have some friends that were scheduled to go to Dubai, but those plans, of course, were canceled because everybody knows what's happened in Dubai. That's out. You got some people planning to go overseas that are probably paying for trips next year. But guess what? This is a lasting impact. I don't see anything changing in the next year because guess what, guys? It takes time to rebuild those countries. So, they may be impacted. They may have lost all of their money that they've invested in those trips. You never know.
And we can't even talk about the people that's actually stuck in some of those countries like Abu Dhabi and Dubai that can't get home right now.
Okay. And so when people understand the connection, what's going on globally, they can respond more intentionally instead of reacting emotionally. It allows them to prepare instead of panic. So, we know that Iran, as far as the oil, we know what's going on. So we know that we're going to be impacted as far as the gas prices. I knew gas was going up before it actually started going up because I've been watching the news and I knew what was going to happen.
And the preparation is key, guys. Not fear, but awareness that helps you make smarter decisions.
Yeah, and that's what we want people to walk away with tonight. We want you to be prepared. We want you to have that clear understanding of how everything is connected.
And how paying attention can make a difference later on.
Okay, guys, so let's look at this scenario. We've got a family that's planning an international trip. We talked about that. They start noticing the rising travel costs because they got to pay for that flight to get there. And not just there, when they get there, they got to pay for hotel, food, etc. And the growing uncertainty. What once felt exciting now feels unpredictable because they may not be able to go. And if they go, they may not be able to afford certain things. They began reconsidering their plans, not out of fear, but because things feel less certain. Now they're asking themselves, is this the right time to go or should we wait? And guys, we are blessed because we came back from Asia on January the 15th.
Yeah.
And we had a flight from Thailand to Abu Dhabi. And so that's where a lot of the strikes are. And thank God we made it back before all of this mess started. So guys, do you think this is temporary or something bigger developing? Do you think, because, you've heard Trump say, not only does he want to take over Iran, but he also wants Cuba. He's still trying to dip in Canada. So is this something bigger developing? What do you guys think?
I don't know. It's just so much uncertainty going on right now, Doc B. Things are just not stabilizing right now. We see so many things changing, so what is your gut telling you guys? How do you feel about all of this? Are you adjusting your plans right now? Let us know. Put it in the chat, guys.
Okay, guys. So shout out again to Mad Sorry, Monk Panda,
Rock, Bree.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. And Franny, we appreciate you guys. Thank you for those comments.
Sorry.
Yeah, and thank you for
Hakeem.
Our top gifter. Who's our top gifter right
FDR APV.
Yeah, okay.
Mr. King Sedell, appreciate you.
Okay, make sure you're following our top gifters. Okay, guys. So let me give you my final thoughts is how I feel about this, because this is a lot to wrap your brain around. If there's a lot going on, there's a lot of uncertainty, but we talked about it, guys. You've got to respond and not just react. So what people are feeling right now is not random. It's what's happened when there's more information than understanding. You see a lot of things happening, just like the different stories. You hear this, you hear that, and so you're not sure, so you're not understanding, but you see the movement, you hear the updates, you're watching changes in everyday lives, but no one is fully connecting the dots for you. And when clarity is missing, your mind starts answering the questions on yourself. You don't have to let them answer it, but you come up with the answer yourself. That's not fear, that's awareness. So don't ignore what you feel, but don't let it overwhelm you either, because it can be overwhelming.
Yes.
It can cause a lot of anxiety.
Yes.
I want you to stay grounded. I want you to stay informed and protect your peace.
Oh, that's amazing, Doc B. I like that final thought. All right, guys, my final thought on tonight's episode is, let me say this and let me say it clearly. People don't panic when things are happening. They panic when they don't understand what's happening. And right now, it's not just about what's going on. It's about the uncertainty surrounding it. People are waking up and realizing something feels different.
Mm-hmm.
It's off, as Doc B just said. And when something feels different, you have a choice. You can either ignore it or you can pay attention. Because shifts don't always come loud, but they build quietly. And the people who recognize that early, those are the ones that move differently. Guys, as Doc B said a few minutes ago, stay grounded, stay informed, and protect your peace while you seek the truth.
Okay, guys. Because the people who pay attention early are the ones who are prepared lately. So in other words, some of you probably don't ever watch the news or anything like that. You have to stay informed. You can't expect for people to tell you. We mentioned earlier that the legacy media outlets are controlled by some of Trump's buddies. So you're not going to get what you need on the legacy media outlets. I recommend people watch the independent streaming networks. You've got Don Lemon, you've got Jack, you've got Joy Reid, who used to be with MSN. Of course, you can watch us, but we want you to stay informed. We want you to know what's going on so that you are prepared. So, guys, if this made you think, we want you to follow us. We want you to share, and we want you to go ahead and drop your final thought in the comment.
Yeah. And guys, most of you already know we're on mostly all social media platforms, live with J&B or J&B Live Podcast. You already know we're on YouTube. That's where the majority of all of our content, literally all of our content, is on YouTube. So while you guys have a chance, make sure you slide over to YouTube at Live with J&B or J&B Live Podcast, and make sure you guys subscribe. It's free. It doesn't cost you a thing. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Pandora, Amazon Music, wherever you get your podcast listening enjoyment. Just look for J&B Live Podcast, and we are there. Again, guys, I am your host, Broker J3.
And I'm your co-host. I'm Dr. B.
And you know what, guys? Let's talk about it.
Thank you
so
for
much.
joining us. We appreciate you.
Till next